Buffalo Wild Wings is one of the fastest growing restaurant chains in the US. Chief Executive Sally Smith is here in Asia to look at expansion plans. The company has already opened its first restaurant in the Philippines, and now it's hoping to open franchises in India and Vietnam. So Ms. Smith, tell us, what is Buffalo Wild Wings?
We started out as a college bar near the campus of Ohio State University and have expanded across the United States.
Why have you come to Asia? What are your plans here?
Well, we have opened our first restaurant in Manila in the Philippines in January. We anticipate announcing an agreement to develop Vietnam in the next couple of weeks.
In the last few years, you've been one of the most rapidly growing restaurant chains in the US, so why come to Asia now when you seem to be doing quite well in your core market?
We've been working on international for about 4 years. And so again, before we need that growth to continue on being a high growth company, we want to make sure that we have the right partners in each country. By the time international becomes a meaningful contributor is about the time that I would expect that we would be, closing in on 1,600 units in the United States, and international should be poised to take off at that point.
Obviously, quite a number of your rivals have already got relatively deep roots in Asia. There's a number of fast-growing local competitors in many markets. Are you worried you're a bit late to this particular party?
I'd rather take our time and do it right and be here and have that opportunity to be here a long time than to rush in and just to get units open.
And how is a US sports bar going to work in a number of different Asian countries where people watch different sports or no sports? There's very different leisure pursuits.
So I think there's a couple of things. One, what sports they are watching, we want to make sure that we're showing. Certainly soccer around the world is big. We also have a great social gaming platform, so we think that will differentiate us in Asia and for those non-sports loving fans.
And for the sports fans, obviously football or soccer is huge in Asia, but the most popular leagues are all in Europe, which means you've got a big time zone problem in terms of showing games at a time when people want to eat food. How are you going to overcome that issue?
We have the same thing in the United States, and certainly during the World Cup last year, or even 4 years ago, we opened early. So, and it's surprising, Wings makes a pretty good breakfast food. So again, if they're there to watch soccer, particularly the European League, and local franchisees, local partners want to open, we're there to support them, and we'll develop the food as it goes.
I know that beer is a big part of your sales mix in the US, but most Asians drink far less alcohol than Americans. So how are you planning to overcome that challenge in this part of the world?
We'll be opening in Dubai and Saudi Arabia before the end of the summer. We won't be serving alcohol there, so we've developed our line of non-alcoholic drinks, of desserts as well. In Utah, for example, not a high alcohol consumption state in the US, we do very well there.
And in terms of adaptations, obviously other Western restaurant and food brands in Asia have had to make big changes. What additions or adaptations are you planning to make in Asia to meet the demands of consumers here?
Chicken is a universally loved food product. We have 16 different sauces, 5 different seasonings. We introduce new sauces all the time. And so my guess is we'll customize some of those sauces. Certainly in India, be a very spicy sauce versus maybe Hong Kong, not as spicy. Very much like regions in the United States, we have regional preferences.
Obviously, over the last decade, many Western consumer companies have come to Asia and they found it much tougher than they expected. From your point of view, what are the biggest risks of expanding into Asia?
Sure, I think that's partly why we want to explore our growth with franchising. The biggest risks are not understanding what that local guest wants, not adapting our menu, and assuming that we know everything. We certainly don't.
And how tough is it going to be to ensure food security and quality of supply, given that some of the world's biggest names have found real difficulties in China, India, and elsewhere in the region?
We've been extremely diligent in the United States. I have a quality assurance group. will apply that same diligence. And then looking at the regulations in country, as well as what we know on food safety in the United States, and trying to apply those same standards.
Thank you for your time.
Ben, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk with you today.